Behind me is the Shaper booth. These guys are awesome. I was at the Festool build-off not that long ago. They were there. Russ, Jake, Shaper Sean wasn't there, but I do have Shaper Sean available here. He's going to give us a quick rundown of what the Shaper can do for you and hopefully for me in the shop at some point. I'd love to get one. Like I said, I'm just a guy, but a guy could use a Shaper. I'm going to try to target one for next year. You can take this as a mini CNC basically to your work versus having to take your work to a CNC. So if you have a small space, invaluable for the shop. Let's take it over to Sean, see what he has to say about Shaper, and get a little quick demo.
Hey, welcome. Come on in. I'm Sean. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Shaper Origin. Shaper Origin is a handheld CNC that you drive manually, and the spindle actually has a corrective mechanism that allows it to fix your mistakes. So the idea is you roughly route in the general area, and then the spindle will move to the right spot. So let's show you how that works. So I'm going to start with a scan, and all we're going to do is take these dominoes, which I've applied to the tape surface, and we're going to start a scan. A scan just means like a big panoramic image where we're basically trying to pull all these images into the world we're thinking about, image the area we want to cut. So it's going to save that workspace, which is just a collection of this and then what you're looking at. And one of the cool things you'll get with Origin is you get to see a preview of what you're looking at. So the little crosshairs represents where the bit is here. Okay, so if I move over to this little pencil line we have here, and then you come up on screen, you're going to see that same line here. And we can zoom out and get a better view of what we're looking at. And because we have a visual image, now we can do some things that are pretty interesting. So one of those things is actually creating shapes that are pleasing to the eye in placement and not worrying about where they're placed. So let's just create a little slot. So I'm going to go directly here on Tool and hit the Create button. And we have a few of the basic shapes directly on the tool. I'm going to click Slot, and I'm just going to enter a width of 3.4 and a height of 1.2. Okay, so that I like this shape, but maybe I want to make it a little bigger. Let's go 4.5. Great, so that looks pretty good. And if you zoom in, what you're going to see is I can now place this just by rotating Origin wherever I want. And what's nice about this, I can choose the angle at which this shape's placed visually to marks I've made or cracks on the wood. So let's place it right there. I like the way that looks. Now the next step that we finished our design process is to go to cut mode, and we do two things. One, we hit the Z-Touch button, and this is an automatic routine that lowers the spindle and touches the material, and when that happens, now we're zeroed off on the material, and whatever I type into this top button here will cut to that material. So let's just do a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to show you how we route it. So all I got to do here is keep it close to the element of the line, and anything in that circle, Origin will automatically correct for it. So let me just show you what I mean here. I'm going to just air cut this one, and I'm just basically cutting this, and I'm trying to stay on that line. But if I move up and down, you're going to see the spindle kind of move like a chicken's head. So it's going to do its best to stay on that line, even though I'm not doing a good job of staying on the line. Now, that happens all the time while you're cutting, and it happens quite a lot. So at the end of a cut, as long as you're moving steadily and slowly, we're going to get a perfect cut. So let's just go ahead and set this to a 1/4 inch and turn the spindle on. We'll turn the vacuum on to make sure our dust is collected well. And then we just hold on to the tool. And let's see what we got. Okay, so this is the first cut we've made, and you can see we have a pretty good cut here. Now, we were removing quite a bit of material, so we might want to go back and finesse that. So why don't we come back here, and I'll explain to you one other feature. So we have a feature called offsetting, which allows you to push the cut path off of the shape. So if you see that little area there, now instead of the preview being right against the edge, we're actually off the edge, and I can adjust that to anything I want. So that I can push and pull that shape to get a better fit for certain types of things. I'm going to do a little bit of a negative offset here. And now I'm just going to do a quick cut all the way around. Actually, we'll just do it halfway so you can see the step. You can see this step right here where we've offsetted that path, and we can do that up to 1/1000th of an inch. So there's quite a bit of precision in Origin when you want to get that perfect fit. We can make circles of any size, rectangles, slots. We can do a pin tool. There's a feature that allows you to create box joints that does all the math for you. These can be created right on tool, but also we can import from the internet. We can pull all these files up that we've synced, and we have access to them as long as we have connection to the internet. Now, if you need something placed like very specifically, like let's say this hinge here, we would want this aligned with the edge of a material. What we can do is there's a feature on Origin called Grid where you can lower the bit down and touch the edge of your material, and then that will perfectly align a grid that then snaps the shapes perfectly, and then you can pick exactly where they go. So if you need precision placement, we can use the Grid feature. Last but not least is we can do a lot of the stuff on the fly when we're in this mode. I already talked about offsets, but even something as simple as cleaning this whole area out, I can just change it to a pocket, and now I can freeform route this whole area out. And boom, now that whole area is cleaned out on this side. So that's the basics of Origin. You know, we're using the tape to understand our position, the corrective mechanism here, and then you just follow close. Origin will take you to the rest. Now let's talk about a couple other products. All right, ready to roll? Yep. All right, so let's talk about Workstation a little bit. So Workstation's a fixture that allows you to cut in-grain joinery, so by placing material vertically and cutting with the top of the Origin, and it also allows you to work on small parts with a shelf. If we take this and we put it in here, it's a nice shelf that goes up and down all the way from here all the way to the top of the surface. When you're working with Origin, you always need the top of the plane to equal your markers. So if we want to cut this material, it needs to be the same height as this. So let's show you how that works. And so when you're using Origin, this bar goes in here, and it allows Origin to ride on the top and be more flat. But when you're trying to register material at the top, you can basically throw it in here, lock it down on the top, and now in order to register, all I need to do is hold it up and pull this, and now that material is perfectly flat with the top. And then the other thing like we talked about is the in-grain joinery. So if I take the shelf out, then I can take some parts, and I need to put the Z-index back in. I'm going to reference two things. I'm going to reference the side and the top, and now I'm going to clamp this piece so I can start doing work on it. So any type of F-style clamps work. Okay, great. So now we have this piece perfectly aligned with the top. So I'm going to take this bar now, and I'm going to put it back in the support position. And now we're ready to cut. So if I come over the top of this, what you're going to see, I have two shapes. I have a area to clean out and just get a bunch of material removed, and then have a path that goes right around the center to remove a final tenon. So let's go ahead and cut that. I'm going to do this in one pass because I don't think we need to do it in more. But depending on your woods and your materials, you will need to step down appropriately. So let's cut it. So great, now we have our roughing pass done where we just cleaned out a lot of the material. Now we're just going to come back and hover the inside shape and cut that. And now we have our final tenon cut. So super precise, super quick, doesn't take much time at all. That's kind of the quality we expect off of Origin. Just cutting vertically, you get really nice cuts. You can cut up to 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. This is a 3/4 inch tenon, but you can adjust that depth as needed. And in order to finish this demo, we actually need to make the mating piece. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to put the shelf on so we can cut that other piece. So put it here, and raise it up. So now we're flat. I'm going to take a small piece of double-sided tape. So okay, now we need to get that file in place. So I'm going to make a new file just so we have it. And I'm going to scan in this new one so I can see a bit more what I'm working with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this file and all its contents, and I'm going to place it somewhere else. Yeah, let's do this. So let's position it at 4 inches to the X. So I'm going to quickly measure this. I don't know if these are set up right now, but these are Bluetooth calipers that connect to Origin. So you can connect them, hit the yellow button, it'll send the value straight into the tool. So I'm gonna take the Y and I'm gonna do 1.99 and I'm gonna divide that by 2, and that's gonna center the shape on this material. I just need to change the anchor point to be the center, and boom, now we have a shape that matches that one that's centered. And you know, I told you we could do a lot of easy stuff. I'm just gonna take this outside cut and I'm gonna make it an inside cut. Now we're an inside cut. And I'm gonna hide this pocket as a guide because I don't actually gently wanna cut it. So now all I gotta do is cut this inside cut to 3/4 of an inch. Now that I'm not cutting in grain, I can't go as deep as fast. So we have a feature called Auto Pass. It's a $200 lifetime upgrade for a tool. You don't have to have it. You can just work your way down through the depths. But if you have Auto Pass, you can say, I wanna do this in 3 passes, or 4, or 5, or however many makes sense for your material, and it'll automatically ramp between the passes. And let's take a look at how that goes together. This is a tight fit. We cut this to a 0 offset and this to a 0 offset, which is perfect. This is how it should be. And now we're just gonna come back and we're gonna change this offset to a small negative number. Let's say 8 thousandths of an inch. And then this should be, yeah, very nice. This would be like perfect for glue room, nice fit. You can get a piston fit if you like, up to you. That's using Workstation to do joinery methods. You can do box joints, dovetails, mortise and tenons, kind of anything you design. So that's Workstation. This is Trace. This is a device that allows you to draw something, put Trace on top of it, and take a picture of it, and we'll generate a vector file from this drawing. So let me show you how that works. We have a web app, Trace at shapertools.com. You give it access to the camera, and it'll start looking through the camera. As soon as it sees a full frame, it says ready to capture, and I can click the button, and it'll capture that entire thing. Now you'll notice, I was taking an image at an oblique angle, and because of the dots here, we can actually de-distort that problem and give you a perfectly in perspective image inside this area. We also get the scale, so you can see this is saying currently 8.11 inches from this dimension to this dimension and 2.89 from here. With that, we can hit the blue check mark and save it SVG directly to my phone, send it to my computer, open it in any editor, any vector program, any CAM program, and CAD program. It'll go straight to that. Then you can export it for things like the Cricut, any vinyl cutter, CNC machines, Origin, any digital fabrication machine that takes vector files will go straight into this. We have outline mode where you basically can get the outline of your image, but we also have this thing called center line, which basically picks the center line of what it sees here and gives you a single pass. So if you're cutting with a V-bit, it's only going to cut one channel, not both channels for the inside and outside of the line, which is really helpful in a lot of cases. So that's Trace. Trace is 99 bucks. You buy it once, there's no subscription. All right, and then last but not least, we're going to talk about plate. So plate's a 6mm thick aluminum sheet. Basically, it allows you to repeatedly fixture to material and cut the same shapes over and over, anything that fits in this area here. The basic idea is this. If you have a mark on the material, let's say you wanted to put a little bow tie somewhere on a piece of material and it happens to be here. And I want to put this file just like that. What I can do is I can come over here and align plate, pull this reticle down, and align that front edge right with that line. When I remove it, Origin and plate are automatically oriented with that, and the file will live right there. And so I can cut that, and when I pick it up and I do it on this X, the file comes with the tape, so it essentially has an invisible shape always there, and I can pick it up, move it around wherever I want, and cut it. Now the other thing is it has a front fence. So the front fence allows you to make a mark on a piece of material and then slide that mark right along the material, and now you're aligned with a parallel edge and a mark. And so now for cabinet hinges, etc., for files like this, you know, we can have that file aligned directly off the edge with the right backset. And then last but not least is these parts come down and allow you to reference a long edge, and if you use that in conjunction with the fence, we can actually have a corner reference. And so then I can place things over a certain distance, keep my files here, and load up the ones that I need when I need them. So this is kind of really for hardware files. doing repeatable cuts, engravings that you're going to do over and over, that type of thing. So that's the plate in a nutshell. And then one last feature is we have this little piece here that attaches the plate, and basically it allows you to reference a door edge or any material 90 degrees to the top of plate, so that you can mill in the top here for things like door hinges, for things like brackets, for anything that would be on the edge of a piece of material. The edge mortising adapter allows you to reference that 90 degrees. Then you just run origin over the top of it, just like this. Okay, and that's the plate.